Richard Allen's probable cause affidavit states that a witness parked across from the Mears farm shortly after 1:46 p.m. The witness advised there were no other cars parked across from the Mears farm when she parked. The PCA states investigators have video and electronic records that show the girls were dropped off across from the Mears farm at 1:49. From this description of events, it would seem that the witness and whoever dropped the girls off narrowly missed each other.
At 1:36, Kelsi received a call on her cell phone from her boyfriend, Chase. She assured him that as soon as she dropped her sister and her friend, she would be on her way to his place. She was still on the phone with him when Libby and Abby got out of the car at the small parking lot at the trailhead at the Mary I. Gerard Nature Preserve on West County Road 300 North. After she loaned the girls sweatshirts to wear, Kelsi estimates that the girls hopped out of the car at the Monon High Bridge Trail at 1:38 or 1:39 p.m.
So investigators say CCTV shows the car that dropped the girls off left at 1:49. But Chase called Kelsi at 1:36 and she estimates the girls got out of the car at 1:38 or 1:39 while she was still on the phone with him. Why does Kelsi report 1:38 or 1:39 as the drop-off time when the video shows that it was actually 1:49? This interview indicates Chase called Kelsi at 1:38, according to phone records.
They left here right around, give or take a couple minutes, they left here right around 1:30. What I do know is Kelsi had said that she was talking on the phone to her boyfriend when she dropped them off. And I looked at phone records and it shows that she called, or the call come in from her boyfriend at 1:38. So she was talking to her boyfriend at 1:38 when she dropped them off. That's when the phone call started. So I don't know how long she talked to him, and I don't know how many minutes it was to get there. But she dropped them off and she watched them. She said she watched them until they got into the trailhead, and then she pulled on out and went on to her friend's house.
In this version, Kelsi called Chase after she dropped the girls off around 1:35.
Another thing I remember was eating breakfast with her that morning. My dad had made banana pancakes and we sat there and we ate, and that was our last meal together, and I'll never forget that.
So to be exact, Kelsi dropped the girls off at 1:35 and then she left because she had plans with her boyfriend.
So that day, I dropped the girls off at around 1:35. I watched Libby walk away after telling her I loved her. She said it back and I made sure they both had sweatshirts. So they continued to walk and I drove away. After I dropped them off, I called Chase and told him that I was on my way.
The 1:49 time must be the accurate time, since Kelsi remembered in June 2020 that she saw a dark SUV parked there. Assuming that dark SUV belonged to the witness, who arrived sometime after 1:46, it would have been impossible for her to see that car at 1:38. But when did she remember seeing this SUV? When, if ever, did law enforcement tell the family about the surveillance video showing the girls being dropped off at 1:49, not 1:38 or 1:39? Was it before or after Kelsi remembered seeing the dark SUV? If the dark SUV she saw did not belong to the witness, who did it belong to? And why wasn't it still there when the witness arrived just after 1:46? Remember, the witness said no other vehicles were there. In this June 2020 article in the Purdue Exponent, Kelsi mentions seeing a dark SUV. This is the first time the public has heard her mention seeing a dark SUV with the rear window covered in decals. She didn't pay attention to whether any people were around, the article says, something she regrets daily. But wait,
Do kids like to hang out there and just hang out? Like, is that a hangout place?
Yeah, lots of kids do. Like, even that day, there were 10, 20 kids there when I dropped them off. And
Oh,
even
really?
before. So.
There were that many people there.
But when I got there, like after my dad had been there, and I got there after, and we all started searching, there weren't as many as there were when I dropped them off. So I think maybe there was like a little hole in people there at the time everything happened. So there was just that moment when it was just them.
Do you remember seeing anybody odd hanging out there when you drop people off? Anybody from out of town?
I only saw kids my age there when I dropped them off.
this YouTuber comes to Kelsi's rescue, providing her with what to offer up as excuses for her over-exaggeration.
It's just, you had to grow up really fast, and every single detail isn't going to be the same. For example, the part when you had lunch with Renner, and he's a 360-degree camera, and you talked about how there was a lot of people there. Like, what were you actually saying when you said that?
That we knew that there had been lots of people there that day, and over time we learned that there had been lots of people that day. And I used an over-exaggeration.
How dare you?
And people use that against me, and that's fine. I don't care. I've gotten to the point where I don't let it get to me, because I know people don't care if it gets to me, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain. They want whatever they're saying to be right, and so whatever I say, they're going to use it, turn it around. And so I just try not to let it get to me anymore.
Yeah, it's like this doesn't work right now. A fact isn't a fact because you want it to be a fact. It's a fact because it is one. So you have all these people that they claim something to be a fact because that's their story, and they're going to stick with it no matter what.
I only saw kids my age there.
Her over-exaggerations have such specificity. I only saw kids my age there. Investigators say that electronic records and video from the Hoosier Harvest store show the car that dropped the girls off pulled away at 1:49. Does that mean that Kelsi sat there for around 10 minutes after she pulled up around 1:38 or 1:39 while on the phone with Chase? If she did, why didn't the witness see her? The witness said there were no other cars there when she arrived, sometime just after 1:46. If she did not sit there and wait, are the phone records about the incoming call from Chase at 1:36 or 1:38 incorrect? Or is the CCTV from the Hoosier Harvest store incorrect? Can both be true, that Chase called Kelsi while she was driving at 1:38ish, and that the car that dropped the girls off was seen leaving at 1:49? Who were the kids Kelsi saw that were her age when she dropped the girls off? Did they see her? Or are we just chalking that up to an over-exaggeration too? While we're on the topic of over-exaggerating,
Anthony Schatz. Ever heard of him?
I wish. New information to us as of last night, before everybody else, but still new information.
after the Barbara McDonald, Kegan Kline interview that was released, and we heard Barbara ask Kegan if he remembered talking to Kelsi the night the girls were missing. And he said no. After that, Kelsi responded on social media with this post. I'm not sure why people are so upset about it. I've said many times that there are things I am still remembering to this day, and as I remember them, law enforcement is made aware immediately. I contacted several people that I found Libby had been in contact with the evening of February 13th as we were sitting in the police station. I was trying to get as much information as I could to figure out where the girls were. Anthony_shots ended up being one of the accounts I messaged. Law enforcement has the details of that conversation, but just know that the short discussion I had with the account threw up no red flags and gave no indication that the account knew anything of Libby and Abby's whereabouts. It was a 5-minute conversation. I never talked to the account again and didn't think about it again until years later. Not only do I now have to live with the fact that I communicated with an account that could possibly be connected to my sister's death, as if that's not traumatic enough, I now have to watch groups dissect my intentions and twist my every word in a million directions. No matter what I say, someone will always have something negative to say about it. I hope those people have the day they deserve. I hope today is the day. I hope this is over soon. I hope someday the true crime community will learn that the way family members of murder victims are treated is horrendous and not okay. So again, the key phrase here is the short discussion I had with the account threw up no red flags. In this exchange, Kelsi explains that she had Libby's social media passwords that enabled her to see with whom Libby had been communicating. She was sure to point out that she did not use Libby's phone or Libby's socials to communicate with Anthony_shots. When asked to clarify how she contacted Anthony Shots, if not by using Libby's socials, she said, "My socials."
I do know that Libby's sister, Kelsi, did get in touch with that fake profile while the girls were missing and inquired. She was working with a friend, and they reached out through the friend's profile and said, hey, do you know anything? And the response from whoever was using the profile at that time was, oh, I'm sure she'll turn up. I was supposed to meet her, but, she didn't show.
Let's break it down. First, Kelsi said, "I wish," when asked if she had heard of Anthony Shots. Second, she said she contacted him the night the girls were missing, but nothing he said threw up any red flags. Third, when pressed, she said she contacted him through her own socials. Finally, we find out that he was actually contacted through her friend's socials. Was her friend friends on social media with Anthony Shots? Why use her friend's profile? And more importantly, why was the fact that he told her that night that he was supposed to meet up with Libby and she never showed not a red flag? Is there a reason Kelsi didn't want to divulge that it was actually her friend's profile who contacted the Anthony Shots profile? Who is the friend? Keegan Kline seems to deny that any contact with Kelsi ever happened that night. Maybe he's telling the truth, since we now know it was a friend who communicated with him, or at least a friend's profile. Does this friend exist in real life, or was the friend profile a fake profile? Or maybe Keegan wasn't in control of the Anthony Shots profile that night, or maybe there's more than one. Human to human, who was contacting whom?
You know the Emily Ann account? Remember the one that it's Anthony Shots and Emily Ann were sort of together.
Mm-hmm.
How come they never? The question she had was, why haven't they asked people who's communicated with the Emily Ann account to come forward? That is kind of an interesting question, because they were seemed to be fishing for girls that would then talk to somebody else.
I don't have an answer for that.
If the person that murdered Libby and Abby can hear your voice, what would you want to say to him?
Call me. Call me. I think the person has a bit of a conscience left. You can meet him anywhere. And I would be very respectful. That's what I'd say.